You strong.
The young man hesitated for a moment, then clasped his hands together, rejoicing inwardly. He agreed. Mr. President, finally the moment had arrived. Sejun climbed up the large stone steps alone, excitedly following Minotaur King's direction towards the glowing blue light. Here is the teleportation point. The blue light emanating from the stone looked incredibly surreal to Sejun, akin to stairs leading to heaven, or the magical door of Doraemon, whatever you call it. As long as he could get out of this tower. Intrigued mixed with a bit of hesitation, Sejun reached out his hand, feeling the wondrous glow on his arm. Amazed at seeing such a strange thing for the first time, he eagerly awaited. The usage was quite simple. Just touch the surface of the teleportation stone and think of the destination. Surprisingly, there was no magical effect, but 2 consecutive notifications popped up with the words, "You have saved the teleportation point on the 99th floor of the tower." Downloading the list of saved teleportation points from other floors. The sensation of confirming the teleportation point felt like an eternity. Sejun's heart sank when he saw a large X accompanied by the message, "You have no other teleportation points saved outside of floor 99. You cannot move to other floors." What's going on? Sejun read the message over and over, but still couldn't understand what was happening. "Can't I move?" Minotaur King stepped forward, crossing his arms, and explained a bit. "It seems the stone doesn't work because you weren't born in the tower. I'm not sure how you made it to floor 99, but entities from outside are required to register teleportation points on each floor. You have to start from the teleportation point on floor 1, then you'll be eligible to move to other floors. This is a pre-established rule of the tower, a limited invitation provided by the tower to outsiders. Currently, only floor 99 is in your teleportation point list, so you're not eligible to go to other floors." Minotaur King's statement was simple, easy to understand, but not easy to accept. Sejun clenched his fist, feeling helpless, and then painfully knelt down on the stone floor. He looked up at the beautiful and dazzling stone before him as his faith faded. "I thought I could leave this tower, but now all hope has disappeared without a trace." Minotaur King couldn't understand why this human didn't know the operating principle of the tower, but still appeared on the highest floor, floor 99. Now, seeing Sejun kneeling in despair on the stone floor, his eyes filled with despair as he looked at the teleportation point. All he could do was stand outside and wait. It had been a while, and he still sat in silent despair, surrounded by despair, to the point where even Theo, the cat by his side, began to feel something was wrong, raising his stubby legs and calling out to the chairman. Sejun didn't cry or lament in pain. He just smiled lightly. "After all, I've always known that I wouldn't be able to leave this tower since I found out it was floor 99. What's this emotion anyway? Anyway, now I've confirmed where I am." The man looked calm now, and Minotaur King, coming to offer condolences, said, "Park Sejun, I'm sorry for your situation, but I allowed you to use the teleportation point, and you used it. So between you and me, Minotaur King, there's no debt to be repaid anymore." "Sure." Sejun stood up, sounding comfortable. Theo jumped onto his shoulders, listening to him say that indeed, you don't owe me anything anymore. "All right." Minotaur King was pleased to bid farewell, turning to leave. Suddenly, Sejun spoke up, causing him to stop. "But let me make a suggestion." As if he had just mentioned a keyword touching some sensitive nerve of Minotaur King, he narrowed his eyes, glaring at Sejun, growling, "What do you mean? How dare you make a suggestion to me?" Before Minotaur King got angry and wanted to smash them all, Sejun let go of Theo, letting him jump down, telling him to open the spatial bag to show him. Theo obediently jumped out of Sejun's arms, pulling the drawstring of the backpack on his shoulder immediately. From the bag poured a pile of fresh green onions, making Minotaur King look in amazement, unable to believe his eyes. The onions poured continuously, like a stream of onions, gradually stacking up into a towering pile, covering an area equivalent to 16 tiles of the Minotaur Hall. Not only was the king amazed, but his minions also turned their eyes to the green. They piled up so much that they overflowed to both sides, scattering a little on the real ground, a rare sight hard to find. The Minotaur group cheered in excitement. "Oh, is that the sweet-smelling grass we had yesterday? It must be delicious. I can't hold back the beast in me anymore." The excitement below the Minotaur group spread to their king, who didn't understand anything, but was still stunned by the pile of onions lying around, but still trying to keep calm and ask Sejun, "What's going on here?" The The farmer introduced himself proudly. This is a gift from a neighbor who wants to be in harmony with his neighbor for a long time. Minotaur King's mind began to wander. He didn't understand why he said it was a gift. His eyes kept staring at the onions, unable to look away, saliva almost dribbling down. Sejun didn't explain anymore, pretending to be indifferent, clasping his hands and sighing deeply. Well, but I'm having trouble. We're currently expanding our fields, so we need a lot of labor, you know? We can eat onion leaves harvested 3 times a day if the field expansion is successful. Knowing that he had successfully diverted Minotaur King's attention to the topic, Sejun began to delve into the main topic right away. So that's it, sir. Do you agree to make a deal with me? Seizing victory, the farmer winked friendly. Just make a decision, and Sejun's capital will have countless laborers to help expand the planting area. Holding on to his shoulders proudly, without any fear, he was also a savvy merchant. Just saying this would know the success rate is high. Sejun had been gone for almost half a day. Cook, along with the queen bee, sat gathering pollen at the edge of an empty field, looking out at the dusty surroundings, feeling strangely melancholic. He said he would wait for his father to return, but he couldn't help but miss him, and there was nothing else to distract him. The little bear's eyes started to well up with tears, and even the bee sitting nearby felt sad. She tried to comfort him by stroking his head, but it didn't seem to work. Suddenly, the two of them noticed a noise, like footsteps getting closer by the moment. Cook's eyes lit up with hope, and even the queen bee above looked in that direction with anticipation. Emerging from behind a layer of smoke, first came the gray-white fur of the wolf tribe leader, Elka, followed by the farmer riding on the wolf's back with a straw hat on. Who else but the farmer? Drawing nearer, Sejun saw his lost son waiting and waved his hand to greet him. Theo, sound asleep on the wolf leader's back, paid no attention to his father's greeting. Jumping off the wolf leader's back, Cook ran eagerly to his father, calling out repeatedly, "Dad! Dad! You're back!" Luckily, the bee could fly. Otherwise, if it were another creature, the little one would have been tossed aside. Seeing his father made him forget all his troubles. Sejun stood beside the wolf, waiting, and even Theo woke up and climbed onto Elka's head to watch the touching reunion. As soon as he hugged the soft, red fur, Sejun asked right away, "Did you behave well at home?" The little one nuzzled into his father's chest, laughing mischievously, saying, Cook didn't cry. Cook was very good." The bee and the other little ones waved their hands joyfully, happy that Sejun had returned. It was such a heartwarming scene that anyone would want to keep watching. Cook hugged his father tightly and then started to lick him. His tongue was as big as Sejun's face, making him want to escape. Just then, the rabbit father appeared. Sejun returned early, huh? How did the conversation with them go? Seeing even the rabbit mother come out to greet him, Sejun had to release his son and answer that everything went smoothly. Then he turned to look into the distance, waving his hand to signal someone. Here, thud. 2 large hooves landed on the ground as if waiting for Sejun's command. Besides Ink, who went with him on this trip and knew the situation well, both the rabbit father and mother were amazed. In front of them were 4 tall black minotaurs, all of them young and vibrant, unlike the calm Ox 4 and the gentle Ox 3. As soon as they arrived, they showed various expressions instead of greetings. Some complained about hunger, some asked if they were starting to dig here, and one looked around at all the animals present and exclaimed, "This is my first time here." Looking down at the rabbit's house, Sejun introduced them as the Minotaurs who would help clean up the fields. "We've made a deal with Minotaur King to do whatever we can on this wasteland area." Sejun thought their excitement was normal, but why did Cook's eyes sparkle when he saw them start moving their arms and legs? A Minotaur spoke up. "Sejun, we're starting to dig from here. It's been a long time since we've worked. Our joints are all creaking, itching all over, eager to work hard." Suddenly, Cook approached, eagerly saying, "Brothers and sisters, your muscles look so cool." The little one placed his hands on his chubby cheeks, full of admiration, which the Minotaurs liked very much. Trying to act like grown-ups, the darkest Minotaur in the group looked down at the cute red fur, asking in a deep voice, "You're Cook, right? Ox 3 talks about you a lot, so I know you." The Minotaur next to him continued, "You seem braver than we've heard, don't you?" Cook excitedly raised himself up and asked, "Do you know Ox 3? I'm very close to him." Following him, it turned into a 4-legged run, calling everyone to move with him. Full of excitement, saying that he had led Ox 3 around the field before. This time, he would show everyone the field, so come with him. Excited as Cook was, who wouldn't be thrilled? The group of Minotaurs followed him eagerly, ready to work right away. It's surprising to see so many workers for the bourgeoisie being so happy like this. The bull with cracked horns approached the chief, who was watching the subordinates, laughing happily after a small game. In a low voice, it said, "Minotaur King, it's been a while since our place was so lively, hasn't it?" Seeing the chief not objecting, it continued, "If we clean up the fields, this area will return to being lush green meadows full of nutrients instead of mud pits, right?" The Minotaur King nodded in agreement. "I suppose so. And if that happens, no Minotaur will have to eat mud to survive another day." Suddenly feeling pleased, but not wanting its subordinates to notice, it just nodded gently. "Yeah, being good neighbors is nice. Floor 99 is going to be busy from today on." At the bustling transfer point where games were being held to find the luckiest 10 to work, up on the prehistoric cave, bees were diligently flying back and forth between the tomato flower fields and their hives above, pouring honey into large glass jars. Cook had grown up. If not allowed, it wouldn't take food as it used to, but its passion for honey remained strong. The little one watched the honey pouring from the bees' mouths with fascination, drooling around its mouth. Sitting atop Sejun's head, Deo praised, "I didn't expect you guys to collect this much honey. That's enough jars to last a while. I thought the bees wouldn't bring back this much honey because they were busy preparing for Blue Moon's arrival." Chubby Rabbit stacked them on the cart to be pushed away. It would take 2 or 3 trips to finish. Considering today's work done, Sejun cheerfully looked at Dew above and spread both hands out. "Looks like our population has increased lately, Gio." With only 3 jars of honey left, Sejun held them up to Cook. "Take a bit of this honey, don't eat it all at once, okay?" Waiting for its turn, Cook eagerly stretched out both hands to its father, overjoyed. Sejun promised to pack some for Cook and its mother to eat gradually, taking a few jars with him. So Cook got to eat half a jar, and the honey Sejun gave them would last them a week. Seeing the farmer seeming to have finished his main tasks, the wolf tribe leader, Elka, hesitated before calling out, "Ahem, great black dragon, I think we should also go down to prepare to face Blue Moon." Cutting his words short, Sejun understood right away. Of course, he didn't want the wolf tribe near his prehistoric cave on Blue Moon's day, so he smiled and reassured Elka to go ahead. "I've also prepared food for you guys." Sejun led them to a place with a mountain of high-quality food. With ink proudly on his shoulder, he told the wolves that the Black Rabbit had gone to the endless sea several times to catch a lot of seafood for them. Besides the stacked shrimp, there were many grilled and steamed piranhas, meticulously wrapped in onion leaves. Underneath were lots of bay tomatoes rolling around with spring onions, making the 3 wolves startled, amazed at such abundance. Thanking the Black Rabbit, Elka and the other 2 wolves bowed down to express their gratitude. How could they miss such a chance to be appreciated? Slowly nodding in acknowledgement, he said, "There's nothing special about this, but how could they carry all this food?" Seeing Sejun pondering, Elka pulled out a small backpack from the palm of his hand, saying it couldn't hold as much as Merchant Cat's travel bag, but they often had simple support packs. 3 bags were thrown up at once, automatically flipping open, and the deep space inside sucked all the food in at once. The food was evenly divided into 3 equal portions by the 3 bags, smoothly stuffed in and automatically sealed, falling into the hands of the 3 wolf brothers. They were so used to it, they just stretched out their hands and waited. With the preparations for Blue Moon satisfactory for both the bear and wolf families, they tidied up and bid farewell to everyone at the prehistoric cave to get ready to leave. It took quite a bit of time to return from the residential area to the cave. Perhaps many days later, they would see each other again. Moreover, the wolves looked at Sejun with extreme respect, so the farewell took a little longer, and the food he prepared would be enough for the whole tribe for a whole moon. Sejun stood waving goodbye to 5 people for a long time until they all disappeared behind the forest, then stopped. It used to be very crowded up here, but suddenly seeing everyone off made him feel a bit empty, didn't it? Sejun puzzled himself. He also had to prepare for Blue Moon, right? His face seemed more doubtful than just feeling empty, and as soon as he turned around, he saw the notification board asking if something was wrong because he looked strange. Was he worried about the fields too? Surprised? Eileen noticed him too much, didn't she? Scratching his head, the young man admitted that he did feel that way because Blue Moon was getting closer. Even Ink at the foot had bid farewell to his uncle to return to his parents, leaving Sejun alone to talk to the dragon. The notification board kept beeping continuously, asking if she hadn't told him to trust her yet. She was quite proud, asking if you noticed how she stood up and subdued the monsters during Blue Moon Night, didn't you? Well, yeah, that's true. Sejun responded awkwardly to her excitement, unable to hide his worry but also not wanting to dampen Eileen's spirits. When Blue Moon appeared, the monsters all fell into a state of violence, or rather, uncontrollable frenzy. Under the blue moonlight, they turned into real monsters, fierce and ready to attack anyone they encountered. Even the cute Ink in Blue Moon mode might handle a Sejun if necessary. A month ago, during the Blue Moon period, Sejun had thought a lot about it since he saw the ox footprints trample his fields. He thought it was because the monsters here became violent, so he was always afraid. Everyone tried to minimize damage by hiding from the blue moonlight or staying away from the fields. The rabbit families hid in tightly closed houses. The traveling cat slept deeply in a tightly drawn space bag. But the fields on the ground were abandoned, with no defense whatsoever, only left under the moonlight. So Sejun worried that if he expanded the fields farther, there would be a risk of the monsters wandering and trampling. As a farmer, he couldn't go out to guard, so he could only share his concerns with Eileen. Suddenly, the black dragon appeared with firm words, "I will protect the fields." Sejun thought a lot, not sure how Eileen would protect the fields, but the black dragon he had seen in the first Blue Moon season seemed to be Eileen. And if so, she must be very strong. Sejun wasn't sure, but he had no other choice, so he smiled and nodded. "Okay, I trust you, Eileen." Finally, the farmer's expression turned positive, and the black dragon looked at him through the crystal ball. "Just believe in the great black dragon, Eileen Fratani, and plant many seasons, that's all. But if promised, it must be done." The black dragon stood up, stretching its tired skeleton on its back. It had been eating, reading, and chatting with Sejun through the crystal ball in this tiny room for too long. Now it was time to prepare for the blue moon. With its large hand, Eileen gently pushed open the wooden door. The door creaked lightly, then opened, letting in the light from outside, making everything white. It seemed that Eileen had been in the tower dungeon for too long, so the light felt strange, even though she hadn't gone outside yet. She had to go through the winding stairs to get to the exit with natural light. It had been a long time since Eileen stepped out here, the rooftop of the towering tower. In the middle of the ancient stone-tiled floor was a shifting stone suspended in the air within a circle of 3 smaller stones firmly embedded in the ground. It looked more modern than the Minotaur King's and was windier due to its height difference. The rooftop where the dragon's teleportation point actually lay on top of a sharply pointed tower, surrounded by a not too large forest and a round lake as clear as a mirror. From there, a steep stream flowed, rushing down into a small lake below. That was the entire area of the flying land where the black dragon managed the tower. It didn't belong to any floor because it was basically a floating land in midair. Below, tens of meters away, was a thin layer of drifting clouds, below which was the vast expanse of the 99th floor, where there were both barren wastelands and lush forests divided into different territories of monsters. Standing from the railing, looking out at the lake, reflecting the sparkling sun, Eileen sighed. It had been a long time since she went out to enjoy such a fresh breeze, hadn't it? It was indeed too comfortable being a dragon, had to. She hung a hammock and lay there all day writing reviews for her friends. However, Eileen came here for a reason, not just to enjoy the breeze. She turned her head to look at the teleportation platform behind her, then stepped forward to place her hand on the empty space between the 3 stones. From the palm of her hand, a control panel with an interface and color similar to Sejun's notification panel appeared. With a slight turn of her wrist, another control panel appeared using the human eye teleportation. Well done. Everything is going as planned. A large blue screen made from the circle around the teleportation stone pulled down into the space between the 3 smaller stones, and the black dragon looked happily at the numerous notifications appearing before her eyes. Finally, it was her turn to perform, wasn't it? If you didn't pay attention, no one would know today is the last day of the sun before Blue Moon arrives. The sun still shone golden on the tomato fields, but today the atmosphere was unusually quiet. The friendly rabbit farmers had all been hiding in their houses since early in the day, tightly closing the doors and not receiving visitors, not even caring about farming. Sejun fiddled outside, stacking a few rocks for a while to keep the fire from going out, and to make it just enough to produce ashes. With this much, it should be okay to protect the ashes, right? Because after the blue moon period, there would always be some fruit or root vegetables that changed color. He would just eat them hot. Suddenly, Sejun heard loud crying and meowing below, indicating that Theo was also present. He walked over to where the cat was desperately clinging to a bunch of golden fur, sobbing uncontrollably. The cat was wiping its tears and nose on the fur, causing the little ones to push their faces away. Just the thought of these golden fur balls growing up made Uncle Theo emotional. Blue Moon was on her way, and they couldn't linger there any longer. Sejun approached, reminding the cat not to go out and to hide in the pocket dimension. The cat complied, making sure to remind Sejun to take good care of the little ones and to call if anything went wrong. Sejun assured him that he would. Before the cat hid in the pocket dimension, the young man handed it a small white roll, instructing it to keep it with it. Theo immediately recognized it as a honey pot. Sejun chuckled gently, saying that Dio had left it behind this morning before leaving. Perhaps because the bee colony was now too large, the honey pot kept showing up in his hands. Sejun liked having many bee colonies, but the space here wasn't enough for another one. Theo seemed to understand, using its chubby legs to tuck the pot into the fur layer, assuring Sejun that it would take good care of it this time. The sky suddenly darkened, and Sejun realized that Blue Moon is approaching. He immediately began to obscure the sunlight, urging everyone to stay put wherever they were. The light, like that of the night, shone down into Sejun's prehistoric cave. Though not much, it was enough to transform the cute golden furball babies into aggressive creatures with red eyes and muscular bodies. Their elongated hands with sharp claws and their threatening growls were all efforts to resist the changes happening within their bodies. Sejun knew this, but being the only one witnessing it, he couldn't help feeling uneasy. Instead of masking himself and sleeping until morning, he now grimly remembered the first time his rabbit family underwent such a transformation. He had seen this scene before, but getting used to it was quite difficult. Their rapid changes were unsettling. The cries of the rabbit herd were nothing compared to the intense noise coming from outside. Something was roaring loudly, making Sejun cover his ears in agony. He realized he had never encountered this creature before, accompanied by the sound of fast-paced footsteps above. He stepped into the illuminated area to get a better view, wanting to see what was happening, and Aileen hadn't arrived yet. Unexpectedly, due to Sejun's movement, he immediately became the target of the ferocious rabbits. They momentarily forgot their previous howls and stared at Sejun fiercely, and even he forgot he shouldn't disturb them while they were transforming. Now each of them seemed deranged, making Sejun fearful. Why were they taking so long to transform? Last time, the little ones turned into white rabbits as soon as Blue Moon appeared, right? Facing the menacing rabbit horde staring at him like a criminal, Sejun was confused. Why were they all still so violent? He was doomed now, helpless and unsure of what to do, besides covering his face and screaming in agony. At that moment, Blue Moon was partially obscured as a large dark shadow with long wings flew over the cave. The sound of flapping wings was unmistakable in the dark night, immediately causing the aggressive rabbits to stop and stare at Sejun. He turned around happily, calling out loudly, "It's Aileen!" The dragon had kept her promise to appear and guard him from worries. As soon as the dragon's shadow passed, a large tree root suddenly stomped heavily on the ground outside the onion field, where rows of onions were planted straight. It turned out not to be a tree root, but the two legs of the creature from the 99th floor, antler branch, with a design no different from a giant rooster combined with an ancient tree. Its eyes were shining with violence, and it stepped closer, about to trample Sejun's fields, when suddenly there was a noise above that made the creature look up. Under the blue moonlight was the powerful figure of the dragon, spreading its wings as it flew overhead, easily visible. Antler Branch was terrified by the appearance of the black dragon, fleeing the onion fields of Sejun. Even though it was violent, it knew it wasn't a match for the great black dragon, but this black dragon seemed strange. It was slightly blurry at the head in the projected image, with eyes devoid of any vitality. An AI black dragon? Indeed, Aileen was truly delighted, hiding behind the control panel and laughing in amusement. Ha ha ha! What do you think of the appearance of Aileen Fritani, the masterpiece? She skillfully manipulated the controls of the panels around her while keeping her eyes on the virtual dragon's flight path. It was a type of magical illusion tool created by my grandfather for me to use. It was extremely fancy for managing the tower during blue moon nights when I couldn't leave the management area. Just make it look exactly like me. Looking down below, seeing the large dragon spreading its wings in the wind, Aileen was extremely satisfied with the remote control technology that could operate up to the 99th floor. It was even feasible to touch the clouds. This illusion disappeared as soon as I touched the ground. Now it was comfortable to use. Aileen chuckled, thinking Sejun must think she looks super cool like this. So, the dragon became even more excited, maneuvering her illusion to soar a few more rounds under the night sky. Since the great black dragon had already appeared, let's fly a little longer until blue moon disappears. Sejun stood staring at the mouth of the cave for a long time, realizing that apart from the wind, there was no other sound. The monsters had truly become silent since Aileen appeared. Suddenly, white light emitted from the rabbits, making Sejun turn back in surprise. Their ferocious and menacing appearance had completely disappeared. The rainbow light appeared and faded, leaving a group of pure white rabbits rejoicing with their new appearance. They had all turned into adult rabbits now, each one looking different, slightly larger in size, and incredibly adorable, looking at Sejun with obedient expressions. He stammered emotionally, "You guys," then rushed over, trying to hug them tightly. They were all grown up now and didn't like being hugged. Some tried to avoid Sejun's face, saying it was too tight to breathe. The remaining ones looked grateful, but puzzled, asking what was wrong with Uncle Sejun. Before he could answer, Sejun heard the rabbits cheering joyfully behind him as a purple light appeared. Sejun looked, noticing the glowing spots shining among the tomato fields and mingling in his potato patch. Blue Moon's light had transformed the fruits and vegetables. Sejun happily watched the rabbits nodding in joy. Everyone knew this harvest would be abundant. With so much light, let's harvest the Blue Moon crops together. Without waiting for dawn, smoke quickly rose from the prehistoric cave. Under Sejun's pot lid were sweet potatoes next to purple potatoes, and newly picked purple potatoes bathed in steam. He laid all the cooked potatoes on the onion leaf tray, along with the green tomatoes from the field. The baby rabbits eagerly watched, excited to have something new to eat. The system popped up a message notifying Sejun of the items. These purple potatoes were called moon squash, containing Blue Moon's energy. Next were the strength potatoes containing Blue Moon's energy. And finally, the more familiar magical tomatoes containing Blue Moon's energy. If anyone buys purple potatoes outside, be careful to see if they're moon squash from Sejun's farm. He proudly displayed the basket in front of the system board, showing off to the dragon on the other side. This time, we harvested 13 magical tomatoes, 3 strength potatoes, and 7 moon squash. Aileen, you worked hard. Please accept this reward from the Blue Moon. Sejun kindly reminded her that the potatoes were still hot. Let them cool before eating. The system board immediately sent Aileen a message, thanking her for managing the tower. The tower manager even shouted loudly, asking her to let him take care of Blue Moon in the future. The onion leaf basket was quickly teleported back to Aileen's waiting outstretched hand. By now, the dragon had finished pretending to fly around in the sky to scare the 99th floor monsters, and was lying on her back with a warm cloth over her face, feeling refreshed. Although tired, seeing what Sejun sent, Aileen sparkled with joy, truly deserving of it. Should she try it right away? She picked up a small green magical tomato. She had to try her healing potion for her dragon heart. Putting the tomato in her mouth with utmost reverence, Aileen chewed slowly and carefully to savor it before swallowing. Suddenly, in the space, she began to hear the thumping sound, continuing endlessly without stopping. Oh my, this dragon heart was beating now. Aileen looked happily at her inverted cage. Even if she spoke a bit louder, she could still hear clearly. Unlike last time, now she could feel the steady flow of energy circulation. Just as she was enjoying herself, the system board popped up a ding notification that made Aileen jump. What is this? She read through it and didn't understand at all. What was honey potato? The system reported that it had received an achievement for reviving a forgotten dish, honey potato. How could she eat that dish? She glanced at the globe, thinking the author must be on the other side. Indeed, as soon as she looked at the globe, she saw Sejun generously pouring half a jar of honey onto a still warm potato in his hand. making Eileen furious. He dared to give her only steamed potatoes while he was enjoying such a delicious dish alone. That was unacceptable. Aileen's anger subsided as soon as she saw another notification board. You can reward the one who completed the achievement of reviving a forgotten dish with a special professional skill. The confirmation bracelet for the special skill was already displayed on the board. Though she wasn't sure why suddenly everything was so exciting, the dragon immediately became enthusiastic. Indeed, it was a great reward for a tower farmer like Sejun. But enough about that. Speaking of honey potato, Blue Moon energy-infused honey potato was truly delicious. The strength potatoes marinated in honey not only tasted irresistibly good, but also permanently increased mana by 0.3. Sejun looked at the honey-drenched potato, preparing to savor it. Potatoes with salt were also delicious, but sweet ones were equally delightful. Such a delicious dish should be left for the little ones to enjoy first. They cheered when Sejun offered them skewers of honey-coated potatoes, urging them to eat first. However, as the food reached their hands, one of the rabbits ran out and stood between Sejun and the rabbits, stopping him. "Don't you remember what Dad said?" The whole bunch looked puzzled as the rabbit reminded them that Dad said they were only supposed to harvest all the Blue Moon produce for him. What? They couldn't eat it? The little ones crowded around asking why. Just one reason, pointed straight at Sejun. The rabbit stubbornly declared it was because he was too weak. It was a very reasonable excuse, but it felt like a direct insult, and being given the food by the rabbits made Sejun apologize profusely, admitting he was too weak indeed. So, even though honey potatoes were delicious, Sejun had to eat them with tears, while the rabbits surrounded him, cheering him on to eat well and healthy. They would eat regular potatoes and sweet potatoes to make way for him. The sadness quickly dissipated with the delicious sweet taste of the honey potato. Sejun carefully chewed it in his mouth, praising its deliciousness. The soft texture was upgraded along with the sweet taste of honey. Additionally, the continuous system notifications informed him that he had eaten a Blue Moon honey potato, permanently increasing mana by 0.3 points, enhancing the irresistible taste. Could he be addicted to this dish? Suddenly, a strange board appeared in front of him, making Sejun stop chewing because it wasn't the usual notification for eating a new item. Instead, it was a congratulations board for completing the achievement of reviving the forgotten dish. Honey potato? What's this? Sejun wondered, chewing hesitantly. This dish was quite popular, so why call it a forgotten dish? Moreover, it was called an achievement. Did pouring honey on steamed potatoes count as an achievement? The tower manager's message popped up as a replacement, confirming her approval upon seeing him eat, congratulating him on achieving a great accomplishment. A new task had appeared, giving the tower manager a portion of honey potatoes as a reward, plus a professional skill. The rejection line was longer than the content itself. Sure, he would be disappointed if he refused, but he wouldn't show it. Wasn't it showing annoyance? Sejun asked confusedly, couldn't all these appear just because he added a little honey to the potatoes? Well, even though he didn't understand anything, Sejun still accepted it. He was curious about the professional skill, so of course, he had to accept the task. He asked again, could he make this dish with regular potatoes? Sejun picked out a few beautiful potatoes, put them in a small onion leaf basket, then poured honey over them. After that, he handed the basket out, and it disappeared gently, returning with a notification that he had completed the task. Because he had completed the task, he had received a professional skill. He had achieved level 1 cooking skill, a brief explanation of which would slightly improve the effectiveness and flavor of dishes prepared from ingredients grown in the tower. Sejun was very surprised. A special professional skill for a farmer who spent all year selling his face to the land and his back to the sky. But that's not all. The system displayed a list of registered recipes, currently one, which was the honey strength potato infused with Blue Moon energy. This dish had a whole page with illustrations that made the viewer drool. Blue Moon energy-infused potatoes steamed and marinated in honey. The combination of steamed potatoes and honey created a sweet and tender flavor. The flavor was slightly enhanced. Once eaten, it permanently increased mana by 0.3 points. Because the level 1 cooking effect was so small, the increased mana wasn't displayed. Sejun, the tower chef and farmer, with a usage limit of 1 day, grade C. It was quite a pleasant surprise. Sejun scratched his head embarrassedly. Could he collect more cooking recipes too? It was so magical that he didn't even need to be surprised anymore. At this point, should he become a chef as a side job after becoming a farmer? That was for later. Sejun stood up to inform the rabbit kids to make more honey potatoes for others first. Will you guys help me? The enthusiastic kids chorused. Yes, sir. They are both obedient and talented, truly adorable. And so, in the diary of Farmer Sejun's tower, another simple yet cheerful entry was added. The 8th day of Blue Moon passed by peacefully. Has anyone tried honey-glazed potatoes yet? Comment below to let me and Sejun know how it tastes. The western forest of level 99 seemed eerier than usual on Blue Moon night. For dozens of kilometers around, there was no sign of life, only the sound of wind sweeping through the mountains, which were incredibly unsuitable for the faint-hearted. The centipede-like monster, Antler Branch, returned to its forest with familiarity after being chased away by the 3D illusions of the black dragon from the farmer's field. It was just a bit scared back then, but now that it's back in the forest, everything seems fine. The rustling of leaves in the wind seemed to welcome Antler Branch home. It was moving slowly when suddenly, out of nowhere, a branch or root swept lightly against its leg, causing it to stumble and fall to the ground. Antler Branch fell like someone squatting down, not losing its balance or falling face first, but it hurt. Oh, it hurt so much. The creature muttered to itself as it tried to console its pain, while blowing air to soothe its throbbing legs. Suddenly, it heard the sound of moving air above. Antler Branch looked up in surprise to see what looked like a hand made of wood reaching down with enormous claws, grabbing it easily, squeezing tightly so it couldn't escape. Poor Antler Branch struggled to dodge the tree roots wrapping around it, but its large legs couldn't withstand the strength of the strange creature. The roots pierced into its body, gradually enveloping Antler Branch, weakening the creature as its leaves fell off. Soon, Antler Branch disappeared entirely, swallowed whole by the giant tree root, which thumped heavily on the ground in celebration. Emerging from the darkness, the root transformed into spider-like legs, propelling the creature far and fast. It hurried towards the forest's edge, just as Blue Moon ended, gazing ahead with an uncertain purpose. Suddenly, the wind was blocked by the forest, and behind the creature were many pairs of red eyes emitting light from within the tree hollows, resembling a menacing tribe observing their prey. It wasn't clear if the destination was the friendly farmer's field anymore. Meanwhile, Sejun was resting, waiting for his boiled food to cook behind him, unaware of the sprouting seedling amidst the burnt leaves. But how could a sprout emerge from a burnt leaf devoid of nutrients? The warm sun on level 38 was no different from level 99 above, where the wolf tribe was playing after a night of hiding from the moonlight. The villagers gathered around Elka as she distributed food to the children, all delighted to see the tribe leader bring back a pile of protein sufficient for everyone for a month. The young gray wolf saw grilled fish for the first time, gratefully receiving it from the tribe leader's hand, which also pleased Elka to see their expressions. Elka's wife gently asked if he had to leave immediately. Yes, Elka nodded. He had to leave as soon as Blue Moon ended. Understanding her husband's long absence, his wife held his hand, suggesting he stay a bit longer to watch the children wake up. But with a more important mission serving the Great Black Dragon, there was no time to waste. He would return soon enough. After changing into a coat for the journey, Elka led the wolves, full of energy, saying it's time to go, to level 99, with a tribe waving farewell behind them, perhaps not seeing each other for another month. The merchant village was bustling as usual, but today there was an unusual commotion that caught everyone's attention. "Run!" someone screamed, making the calm pedestrians quickly step aside. Compared to the dogs, the rhino, or the deer, 3 gray rabbits were running desperately on the ground, looking tiny. They reminded each other not to be caught, though each was already exhausted, their short legs running at full capacity, yet unable to leave the village area, filling the youngest with fear. It tried to chase after the 2 older brothers, calling and waiting for them, but no one slowed down, not even itself. Yet that brown dog caught up already, its long, sturdy legs swiftly reaching where the gray rabbit was fleeing, its vicious fangs dripping with saliva. With just one swipe, the brown dog easily knocked the brown rabbit off the dirt path. The poor little thing whimpered in pain, officially leaving the running path and falling flat on the ground. Its 2 older brothers were running ahead, continuously squeaking pit-pit when they saw their sibling lying helpless. Their 8 legs gradually slowed down and came to a complete stop, the 2 brothers bewildered, looking back at their younger one, unsure what to do, when suddenly another menacing brown dog, with its fierce red-eyed gaze, approached menacingly. The large shadow of the dog loomed over the gray rabbits, making them too scared to breathe heavily. Now, even if they wanted to run, they couldn't outrun these dogs, could they? How could the horrifying pit sound of the gray rabbit's home transmit into the ears of the gray wolf somewhere not far away? Elka looked surprised, following the direction of the sound she had just caught, wondering what it was. The chief's focused expression made Elke curious. It looked but saw nothing, then asked, "Are we not going anymore, Chief?" The gray rabbit was gnashing its teeth, resisting the trembling, but it was futile. Its neck was firmly grasped by the large hand of the brown dog. Resigning to being lifted, its younger sibling was still under the feet of the ferocious dog. It growled with the rabbit in hand, mocking, "You miserable slaves, where do you think you're running off to? Do you know how many layers we had to climb to catch you?" The dog's comrades brought the younger rabbits closer, chuckling, daring to dream of escaping from us. Huh? One had fainted. The other was so scared it couldn't even move, which the two dogs enjoyed. "Perhaps today we'll have rabbit meat, huh?" Offering the smallest rabbit to its mouth with eager anticipation, the dog chuckled. They didn't know one rabbit missing wouldn't matter, did they? Before the food even reached its mouth, it received a blow to the head that made the dog snap its tongue. Elka's front paw struck straight down on its head, pushing the dog's face into the dirt in front of it, causing it to crack, enough to know the underestimated strength of the gray wolf lineage. The rabbit, propelled upward, then fell with a thud. Elka spread its claws wide to avoid injuring it, catching the tiny rabbit still unconscious and clueless. Seeing their teammates incapacitated, the brown dog's anger turned to panic as it realized that the one who attacked earlier was Elka. Isn't he under Master Grid's command? Its hand still held the gray rabbit, questioning why Elka had attacked them. These were the ones chasing and recapturing escaped slaves. If Grid found out about this, he wouldn't be pleased. No more threatening with Grid. Elka coldly replied that it didn't care whether it was reported to that boar or not. The gray wolf grimaced, growling menacingly, threatening, "Disappear before my teeth sink into your neck." Elka's dangerous demeanor made the brown dog retreat, no longer as aggressive as before. It reluctantly left with its unconscious companion from earlier. The brown dog couldn't match the gray wolf. It had to leave 3 rabbits lying on the ground for Elka to take away peacefully. Elke approached, calling the chief, hesitatingly uttering the words, as the chief had already intervened. In truth, Elka didn't want trouble on the way to the farm, but it ended up like this. It scratched its embarrassed face, apologizing. It just couldn't resist. Looking down at the awakened gray rabbits, too scared to move, the gray wolf curiously asked what to do with them. If left here, they would surely be captured again by those like earlier. Indeed, Elka watched them huddle together, trembling on the ground. These weak rabbits would either be eaten, beaten, or forced back into slavery by those brown dogs. Well then, since it had already rescued them, it couldn't leave them here. Elka made the decision with folded arms, taking them along. Who knows? They might be useful to the Black Dragon. The fake Black Dragon today gathered all the farmers from the field to enthusiastically announce something very important. With a proud face, Sejun solemnly informed everyone that his mana had reached level 10 after eating Blue Moon's products. He closed his eyes, enjoying the warm praise from the children in front of him, but they remained silent. Some rabbits looked bewildered, some smirked, and Theo raised an uninterested face, staring straight at the chairman. Seeing no one speaking up, he hesitated, then spoke on behalf of everyone. Is that something worth boasting about, Meow?" Sejun asked curiously. "Now we can eat the innards of that giant eel." He proudly displayed the sparkling golden sphere, meaning we would have a new skill. Despite the enthusiastic speech, Theo yawned without a care, asking if he could go to sleep. Meow, to which Sejun firmly refused. He stubbornly instructed everyone not to leave until they had seen his new skill. As he said, the farmer put the inner sphere into his mouth and chewed it up immediately. It smelled more like a bowl of thick grease, but Sejun didn't seem to mind. It tastes good, he mused, pondering. Kinda like the scent of orange soda, huh? The system panel popped up, notifying Sejun that he had finished devouring the internal organs of the giant eel and had learned level 1 rain and thunder skills. Oh, so it's learning, huh? Not just getting? Sejun questioned. Hearing his confusion, the system appeared again, explaining that he lacked a lot of mana to properly use level 1 rain and thunder. For user safety, Rainmaking had been sealed. Another panel explained the same reason. Calling thunder had been sealed too. What in the world? Need more energy, huh? This wasn't a thing before. How can I make rain and thunder when they're locked? Dissatisfied, Sejun slapped his hand in frustration, summoning dark clouds with a hopeful heart. As the protagonist, he would truly command the elements. In Sejun's hopeful gaze, the clouds began to gather and condense into a mass. A rapid rumble echoed, the density of the clouds growing thicker until, surprisingly, a dark cloud formation emerged, as massive as a small hill. Quite impressive indeed. A polite clap echoed from a single audience member, Cook, while the rabbits and Theo gazed in awe just like Sejun. Creating it himself made him kneel on the ground in self-blame. Oh heavens, I used a third of my magical power to create a cloud this size? The rabbits chuckled, bidding Sejun farewell to return to their duties. Suddenly being a farmer got called to watch a comedy show. Only Theo approached to comfort Sejun. Don't lose heart, boss. You're still the boss, no matter how weak. Huh, that's supposed to be comforting? Sejun grumbled discontentedly, extremely dissatisfied. Only Kuk seemed excited, extending its arms wide. Dad, you look so cool, and it can even shade us from the sun. You'll do something even greater in the future, Dad. You're the greatest. Now that's more like it. Sejun chuckled and embraced the affectionate face. Only Cook understood him as he wished. Dad's so happy, thank you, son. The touching father-son moment was interrupted by Theo lying on his lap, crossing his legs, speaking as if he were a king. Yes, indeed. Good for the sun not to blind us anymore. Meow. Please move the cloud a bit. Meow. Sejun sneered at Theo's annoying face, about to spank him. Then suddenly a majestic voice exclaimed, "We're back!" Sejun joyfully welcomed everyone back. Then his eyes caught 3 trembling rabbit children under Elka's feet. They were all gray rabbits, but huddled together in fear. Except for Theo, they were all timid rabbits, so here it was all the scary ones. Even Sejun looked at them curiously, wondering who they were. Gray rabbits, huh? They shivered like a broken washing machine. Sejun's face seemed unfriendly or something. They clung to each other, sobbing. One rabbit knelt in front of him, clasping its hands in supplication. Please don't eat us, sir, please. Now Sejun noticed their injuries, not like the energetic rabbits on his farm at all. Wonder what happened to these kids. Surprised, Sejun turned to the tribe chief. Where did you get these kids from? Seeing his confusion, Elka was about to explain from the beginning when suddenly something nearby fell. It was the rabbit mother, dropping her pruning shears, along with the rabbit father, staring at the children in shock. They both looked like they'd seen ghosts. The mother even covered her mouth to stifle her cry. The father exclaimed excitedly, "They're still alive." The attention of the gray rabbit shifted to the rabbit father, who suddenly shouted, "Uncle!" Tears welled up in his eyes, but he smiled, welcoming the rabbit couple into a warm embrace, confusing Sejun and the others. Everyone stood watching, from crying to laughing to comforting each other. Finally, Sejun approached to see what was going on. Why were they crying like this? Even the rabbit mother was crying now. None of them understood what was going on. Sejun turned to the tribe chief, wondering, where did they come from? Since the rabbit couple arrived at his prehistoric cave for the first time, he had suspected they intentionally sought him out, rather than got lost, because how could there be rabbits on floor 99? The whole capitalist company of Sejun looked towards the source of the munch sound with widened eyes. Even the tribal chief, Elka, who had wandered far and wide, had never seen such a strange scene before. What was even stranger was that the rabbit family seemed frozen stiff. The gray rabbit kids gnawed on carrot pieces, as if afraid someone would snatch them away. Not finished eating, the dark-furred one reached for another carrot, as if afraid of being robbed. It seemed they had all been starving for quite some time. They ate so quickly that they choked. Still, the mother rabbit dared not intervene, just handing them water to drink while they ate. Sejun feared they might get choked again, so he softly advised them to eat slowly. The eldest among them, nearly filling his stomach, dared to look up at Sejun with embarrassment, thanking the great black dragon as he sipped water. Sejun chuckled gently, saying to just call him Sejun. This startled Elka, the gray wolf chief behind them, amazed. The great black dragon couldn't be called by his name like that, but Sejun insisted it was fine. After all, the great black dragon wasn't that grand, only 4 words long. And here, there was no need to be so formal. We're all family now, so feel free to call me Sejun. The tribal chief bowed, wanting to call the great black dragon, but reluctantly changed to addressing him as Sejun. I understand, sir. The 2 little ones, Elko and Elki, giggled behind, saying they are family now, and the great black dragon seemed more easygoing than everyone thought. After the formalities were done, Sejun glanced at the gray rabbit still eating carrots and pondered deeply. Theo, indifferent to the chairman's worries, snuggled into his armpit, demanding soup rewards, paying no attention to anything else around. Thanks to the system, Sejun knew these 3 gray rabbits each had their own ability. The brightest colored one was an artist, the middle one licking its fur was a carpenter, while the eldest, still eating carrots with a full belly, was an architect. Essentially, they were all technical experts. Sejun pondered these matters while holding Theo. The happy cat continued to enjoy its soup rewards, paying no mind to the chairman's concerns. After the gray rabbits finished eating and the rabbit elders cleaned up, Sejun began to inquire. When the kids climbed to the upper floors of the tower to escape the farm's exploitation, did Elka save them from the pursuers? So, which floor did you run out from? Sejun looked at the carpenter rabbit, wrapping a blanket of leaf onions around, and the architect rabbit recalled the torment there, wanting to shed tears in response to Sejun's question. From the 55th floor, sir. Before he could be surprised, the rabbit father exclaimed in horror. The loud noise made Theo, lying on Sejun's lap, want to flip over, but the rabbit father grabbed the little one's neck, asking incredulously, "What did you just say? You've been on the 55th floor all this time." Surprised, Sejun shifted to hold Theo with both hands. The cat still enjoyed its soup reward, watching the rabbit father grasp the architect rabbit's neck, shaking it back and forth. What about the kingdom then? The king, queen, and princess? What happened to the monsters there? Shaking the architect rabbit to the point of frenzy, Sejun had to hold the rabbit father back to advise it to calm down. What kingdom? And monsters? What are you talking about? In front, the mother rabbit held the gray rabbit's back again, and the rabbit father began to calm down. It still seemed very agitated, but it tried to control itself, quietly recounting a long-ago story, one Sejun had never heard before. The 55th floor of this tower was once the Kingdom of Rabbits, known as the Scarlet Kingdom. Just mentioning it brought a sparkle of pain to the rabbit father's eyes. The pain within still lingered, making Sejun hesitate to inquire further. So it used to be a kingdom, huh? What about now? Although he already knew the outcome, he still listened intently. Even Theo stopped eating its soup reward to listen to the rabbit father's story. Decades ago, the Scarlet Kingdom had fallen. Memories of the day when thousands of red hues filled the sky of the bustling kingdom flooded the rabbit father's mind. The event had occurred so long ago, yet it felt like yesterday, the feeling of sadness still intact. To start from the beginning, the Scarlet Kingdom was a place teeming with rabbits of all kinds. They lived in small wooden houses decorated with the vibrant colors of wildflowers growing on the roofs, simple staircases leading up to the palace at the highest point. There, young rabbits with golden fur had vast lands to roam freely, and mature rabbits had neighbors to chat with. They were farmers, specializing in cultivating seasonal crops on their fertile lands, eating delicious and nutritious fruits harvested from their vast fields. Apart from farming, the rabbit community also had a rich culture and beautiful architecture, cherished and passed down from generation to generation. From painting to sculpture to various handicrafts, the rabbit community could do it all. They lived peaceful and happy lives from one generation to another, partly thanks to the divine power bestowed upon them to protect themselves. It was also a gathering place for other black fur rabbits specialized in combat, trained and practiced in the use of weapons for attack. But then one day, when everything seemed normal, the Black Rabbit team unconsciously realized that something was coming to this kingdom. A creature with an appearance that terrified any black rabbit, no matter how strong a warrior they were. A horde of winged monsters with cool red eyes emerged in dense rows from nowhere. Their bloodthirsty look was so terrifying that it filled the serene blue sky of the 55th floor. As fast as they appeared, the red-winged monsters descended upon the rabbit village to attack. The rabbit clan was forced to flee, partly because their fighting population was not much. The black rabbit warriors became the only force capable of resisting, exerting all their strength to resist those dreadful red flies. The destructive darkness suddenly appeared, engulfing all those peaceful days, leaving only ruins, smoke, and fire everywhere, and the Red Kingdom officially collapsed. The sad rabbit father summed it up. The kingdom collapsed in an instant due to the sudden appearance of unidentified objects. Amidst that chaos, the king, queen, and Princess disappeared, and the people lost their king, forcing them to wander everywhere to survive the monsters. The whole crowd listened silently as the rabbit father spoke. That was why Sejun first met the rabbit father and mother here. He said, "We're just like that, finally finding this place after a long search for stability." Sejun suspected, raising his hand to rub his chin, trying to piece everything together. It turned out that the place where the two decided to stay was on the 99th floor. No wonder I felt strange. Originally, the 99th floor wasn't a suitable place for rabbits to